Welcome to the Going Global Business Podcast. Dive into the top business trends, ideas, and tips to help you go global with your business. Let's jump right in today with your host, Arun Mehra.
Hi everyone to the second edition of the GCC webinar with Deepak and Arun of Samara Global. How are you guys doing?
Good.
All good.
Raju.
You all right?
Yes, of course, all good. So for all of our attendees, thank you so much if you do attend the webinar right now, thank you so much for attending. And if you don't attend it, the live stream will be available after the webinar. So just to kickstart today's webinar, the topic we're going to be exploring is the current situation in the UK and how you can build your own offshore team. This can go for an accounting firm, a DSO, or for any company that's actually interested in solving their current hiring issues. So guys, straight away, the first question. What's the real problem that mid-tier firms or accountancy firms are actually facing in the UK?
As a firm owner, finding manpower, bottom line, okay? Finding good manpower for decent rates and who are capable to do it. I think that's the bottom line, period, okay? I'm a firm owner, but I speak to many other firm owners and they all find the same problem. They struggle to find people, whether it's accountants, whether it's auditors, whether it's tax people, but across the sector, there's an issue finding people.
Deepak, what's your...
Yes. As Arun rightly said, getting the right talent is the foremost issue which the West faces. And it's not just the UK, but almost all the Western countries. I recently happened to read a accountancy age report of Feb 25 edition, which stated that there is a significant accountancy skill shortage in the accounting sector. Then if we talk about the mid firms specifically, so there are large players like Big Fours and corporates. They can offer hybrid work culture, they can offer global exposure, higher pays. So it's a bit tough for the mid firms to compete in those areas. And if you see the reports from major accounting bodies, you'll see a downward trend in the new admissions in these courses, be it ECCA, be it ICAW, CA. So there's been a downward trend in the number of new admissions.
So is this an issue in terms of, let's say, the quality of people that are available right now in the market, or is it just because like it's too expensive to get these people on board?
I don't think it's expensive. I think it's just the quality of people, and I think less people are entering the accounting profession. So people are retiring at the top end, but less people are coming through. Yet the requirements for compliance and everything, honestly, it's still significant. So it just keeps going. You know, it just keeps. It's the point where you just need people, and I've seen it in my own firm where I struggled for many years, and the only way I could solve that is by building a team overseas to support me and my firm. Otherwise, you'd have a revolving door of people. You think they're good, you pay a recruiter's fee, they come on board, and then you realize they don't have the skill set, a poor attitude. It could be a variety of things, and you're back at square one. And you've built, but all those relationships you've built with clients is just getting damaged, or clients decide, you know what, I've had enough. We can't stay with that accountancy firm anymore. So I think that is the big issue, and I think, as you, Deepak, rightly pointed out, we've as a firm, as Samara Global, we've just taken on our first kind of US clients, and because the same issue is sitting over there. It's there in Canada, it's in Australia, it's everywhere, not just a UK thing.
So would you say, like, for mid-tier firms, like hiring locally, is it on the verge of going completely?
I don't think, no. I don't think it's on the verge of going. You need good people locally.
Yeah.
You still need good people. You need people. And there are good people, of course there are, but you need to augment that with other team members, because the people who locally might want to do higher skilled work or more interesting work potentially. And so then some of the simpler work can be put overseas into another team. But even there, I think we're finding team members overseas want good quality and interesting work to do as well. So it's important you don't just think I'm going to just outsource or offshore the kind of basic work, because many people won't necessarily think, even when they're offshore, that I don't want to do that. I want more interesting work. They want to grow. They want to develop. So it's key to hire the right people in your local market, but also the right people in your overseas kind of domain as well.
So with that, we just said, don't just offshore the basic work, or just don't offshore any work, right? So if you're an accountancy firm right now and today, like what roles are most effective right now to offshore first? Not necessarily just India, could be any country, but what roles are most effective right now for an accountancy firm to offshore first right now?
Well, Deepak, you'll probably know better than this, as you worked in this space a long time. You've seen it for over many years. Which roles have you seen offshored or outsourced from your perspective?
So, Praju, frankly speaking, I think a lot of the work which is done in the West can be offshored and is being outsourced to India presently. Starting from bookkeeping to preparing your management accounts, your year-end accounts, your personal tax returns, you name it, and we have a process over here. Other than that, we have also seen insurance claims, back-end insurance claim settlements, schedule appointments, customer support. So there's a whole array of operations which can be outsourced. Particularly if we talk about the accountancy firm. So to start with, I think for any firm who is entering this venture for the very first time and to gain momentum and confidence, the first step will be to outsource maybe some bookkeeping, train the teams in India, because training and preparing that culture, that imparting proper training is really important if we need quality out, right? It's as simple as that. What you input, the outcome is based on that. So training is an important element, and I think to start with, we can start with bookkeeping work. Gradually, it can be moved on to preparing management accounts. Then we can train the teams to provide your year-end teams to support year-end work, personal tax returns. So the flow has to be transitional and in phases. You can't just dump into everything in one go. That will be a mess. But gradually, starting from bookkeeping to higher end, like due diligence. We have started doing due diligence from our India team. The India team completes that. So I think audit schedules, audit support, everything can be transitioned to India. But to start with, it will be bookkeeping and slowly transition to other phases. And training will play a vital role here.
Correct. Training is imperative here, but the capability is there in India. It's just people just need to be guided and trained in the right way.
Okay, but in terms of let's say training and let's say finding the right people, when someone thinks of offshoring or outsourcing or something, the first thing that comes into their head is, okay, I've done this before, or I've heard stories, I've heard people say like good things, bad things, right? There's both sides of the coin. I think right now what people would be looking for more is it feels very transactional when you do outsourcing and offshoring. I want something that's a bit more long-term focused, something that I would say is a bit more. They want to have control. They want a bit more ownership to it. What would you suggest to them? Like, what would be the model for them?
It's very clear to me as someone who, as a firm at Samara Global, we initially started providing outsourcing and offshoring services to accountants, but the pushback I got from clients or potential clients was saying, well, actually, I want to have control over it myself. So if you're going to go into this on a long-term basis, the only option really is to set up your own operation overseas, okay, and make that be a subsidiary of your business. The kind of fancy term that everyone's using now is called it's a global capability center. That's what people are using. And so effectively, that team is part of your overall organization, and they're part of your culture, and you build that team culture globally, not just locally in the UK. So the way we've done it is we have UK Samara Limited in the UK, we have Samara Professional Services PVT Limited in India. That is a subsidiary company of our UK business. Okay, so our team in India consists of HR directors, admin directors, obviously lots of accountants, various people doing the work. But we comply with Indian labour law and taxes and stuff on the Indian company. But that's all the admin side. The real benefit really comes into it that we've got an integrated team as part of one global organisation. So when you have offshoring and outsourcing, it's still a very vendor customer relationship, and the vendor can put the price up, and you have little control as the client sitting here in the UK. Whereas if you own that entity sitting in India or wherever it may be, you have full control. You can change things, you can organize things, you can recruit new people, you can change pricing, you can put salaries up, you can do whatever you want, okay? And honestly, that is a game changer. That's when you really have control, but most importantly, you have control over your culture. Okay. And I think that is the thing that so many people who've failed in this whole area of offshoring and outsourcing, and I think this is where more and more of these large offshoring and outsourcing vendor firms have failed or failing their clients, is because the culture isn't translated across. But if you can get the culture right, and I'm not saying we have it perfect, far from it, but our intention is to build a global culture for a global team that feel part of a global organization. And that's what we are trying to do.
Deepak, any thoughts?
Yeah, just to add to Arun's thing, one of the issues with the outsourcing model is that the resource retention, you have little to no control over resource retention. Someone, a manager or a teammate's been working perfectly for you. You want him to interact with your clients, but then these vendors, the outsourcing vendors, have constraints, have restrictions, and keeping because there's a third party involved, so there have to be a margin being placed in terms of the Indian outsourcing partners. So if a resource is too costly for them, either they move it to a new client, or you actually, the gist is that you have little to no control over resource retention. They may provide you an alternate resource if you have issues with the quality, with the consent, but we are not very sure whether the second resource will be as impactful, as efficient as the first one. So then you have little control over that, and then that results into failures in deliveries, agitation from clients, escalations from clients. So these issues in your own GCC, you can train the person in your culture as per your expectations, which is very hard in a third party arrangement.
Correct. That's paramount. That's the key point.
Well, like going by all what you guys have said, I mean, it sounds really good on paper, but I'm pretty sure there's like a process that this goes in terms of setting up your own entity. When someone actually, they probably love the idea now. Like, now I finally get ownership, I finally get control, I finally get to take decisions that will be benefiting my firm in a way that I want to do it. So in your expertise and what you've done, what would be a roadmap for these guys? How do they start? What's the next steps? And how does it end?
So
I'll
yeah, you take it, Deepak. You go for it.
Yeah. So, Praju, what we literally do, or what we have the plan to set up a GCC in India, is a 30 days or a 9 months, 3 months, sorry, 30 days, 90 days, 3 months, systematic phase-wise plan. So we divide the 90-day into three phases: phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 is, as you said, is the blueprint, a lot of documentation, brainstorming, calls with the client, getting the processes done on the paper. So that's the actual work we do on the papers. The second phase comes from 31 to 60 days, which is wherein we set up the structure, the map we have prepared on papers in actual life. We give life to that. So that means incorporating an entity into a company, finding your local Indian director if you don't have one, setting up your major processes, SOPs for them, setting up the infrastructure, the IT side of things, arranging the vendors, and then talking the potential resources for your production, resources for your team. And then comes the 61 to 90 day, which is the third phase, wherein we anticipate keeping the transactions live. So that's the 1 month wherein we support with the operations, we overlook the operations, and we help the GCC Indian team to integrate with the headquarters, US, UK, the foreign entity, the parent company. So it's a mix. Of course, looking at the compliances in India, other things to be complied with, the labor laws, the GST laws, the state-wise laws. There can be a increase or a decrease in this tenure, but the proposed plan, or the roadmap which we follow, is a 90-day plan wherein we you know aim to go live with operations.
And if I could just add one thing, but prior to going down that 90-day route, we would always do a feasibility for the client. There's no point going down that route of 90 days and spending time and money and everything if we don't actually think it's actually worthwhile you doing. So we'd always do quite a detailed feasibility at the outset, working out the ROI, working out what are your longer term plans, and then kind of factoring that into a plan. It's that plan, if you're then happy with, we would then implement over those 90 days.
I mean, Arun, I think you can give a bit more of like, I know Deepak's given like a 90-day roadmap, but you can say from experience, like you took time and effort to build something like this in India. And
Yeah.
Deepak also mentioned like the 31 to 60 days, the importance of a local director in India.
I think we've mastered the plan now. We've mastered it. We've learned from our own experience of how to do it and who you need and what paperwork you need, which people you need, which lawyer, which accountants, which kind of ministry you need to be dealing with, which bank account to deal with, which company. So these are all very, very kind of important things to cover, but it can take time if you're doing it on your own and you're not sure how to navigate. And I have an inroad into India, but through my history, through my family, through connections and working with India for so many years. But I appreciate many people might not have that direct link into India and don't know what it's all about. It's a far foreign land from the UK or US. But we're there to bridge that gap, to help people understand, okay, what you need to understand kind of administratively and paper-wise and financially, legally wise as well, but also culturally as well. And that's an important thing that shouldn't be negated. I think it's the cultural understanding is more important than the other things, okay? But the key point here is if you're going to set up your own GCC operation out there, this team sitting overseas in India is not just people sitting over in India. They are part of your global organization. They're part of your global group. You're turning yourself into a global business ultimately. And you just happen to have a great team sitting in India to support your global business.
So when a company tries to set up a GCC in India right now, what is it that you're missing about India that's not making them take this step? Like, what are they missing? Like, what do you think? Like, if you look at a client's mind, a potential client's mind, what's making them not take that action or that step to actually do this?
Fear. The fear of the unknown. Okay, I'll be brutal. Accountants are risk-averse people. So most of we're targeting our accountants. I'm an accountant. I'd say I'm probably not the norm. Okay, but I'm quite an entrepreneur, business owner and stuff. But fear. Oh my God, what will my clients say? Fear. What can people in India do this work? Fear that is my data secure? All of these things, it's the fear, okay? But all of these fears can be overcome and they can all be addressed, okay? You can have the secure data systems, the data resides, you have the GDPR rules in place. You have a good team like ourselves can help hire the right people in the first place, that you know that you're not getting swizzed, okay? The fear of kind of, in India, there are great people, but there are also rogues as well, just like anywhere else in the world as well, okay? So you need to know how to navigate that and understand that. But if you can overcome that barrier of fear to say, you know what, this makes sense. And commercially, honestly, this makes huge sense, okay? And this is the thing I suppose is quite funny I see sometimes, is that people, oh no, I can't do it, it's a long way away, and people in India, yet people will pay 5 times the salary for someone here who's very average, okay, very average at best, okay. Yeah, I can get someone in India for 20% of the salary or quarter of the salary of someone in the UK who can do a damn good job. And then you could get 2 people, even 3 people that would cover the salary of this person in the UK. And therefore, just think about the efficiencies you can have, just to think about the deliverables you can have, just think about all the other services you can then provide. So I think it's a great question you highlight, Project, but it's the fear, oh no, and also the backstory that India is backwards and it's full of poor people and the nonsense that's out there. And there is an element of racism. And I shouldn't really say this, but I do see it. Okay,
feel free to go about.
I do see it, and it's hugely disappointing. Okay, to see that, but what I see personally as a business owner, yes, and this is my business, okay, I see the pool of unbelievable people out there, the unbelievable talent that's out there. And until people see that for themselves, they won't know. I get that. But if we can help bridge that gap and introduce them to quality people, as we are doing, as I mentioned the other day, we just took on a client in the US and he's hired someone who's fantastic. Okay, we've got clients here in the UK we're hiring for. I think you've just got to get over that kind of mindset that, oh, India's backwards. That's where the future is in terms of manpower. 70% of the population is under 35. They're tech savvy. Why do you think Google's just opening up their largest data center? It's not in California or in London. It's going to be in a place called Vizag in eastern India, Andhra Pradesh, their largest data center in the world. Who uses ChatGPT more than anywhere in the world? It's India. The users and the volume is India. Why do you think they're setting up centers over there? So I think whilst the large corporates see this, okay, it's the average small businesses that don't really see that. And we're in a perfect position to actually assist people to get into that space. So I think if people can get over that fear and that kind of mindset that, oh no, Indian people or India won't be able to do it, I think you if that's you, then we certainly can't help you. I'll be brutally honest with you. We don't probably want clients like that, okay? But if you think, you know what, I've got good people, I want to find good talent overseas, and who will deliver, who will be affordable, who will go out of their way to please the clients, then we are definitely the people who can help.
And
sorry, I went on a rant there, but
no,
Deepak,
it's fine. It's fine. Feel free. Of course, it's a webinar, so people need to know. Deepak, what about you? You've been working in India for a very long time. What have you seen the changes over the years that people may not know?
Before that, Praju, I'll just add one thing to Arun. So last week we were having a call with a potential client, a big dental group. Arun was along with. I think you and Arun both were there in the call. So one of the fears, as Arun was talking about the fear, one of the fears one of the directors had was the long processes and stringent compliances, complex compliances, wherein it is, showed with bribery, corruption, and things, stuff like that. He talked about that. So one of the things is that I assure that the team in India and we are there, as Arun said, will act as a bridge between the authorities in India and the UK headquarters. So that's keeping aside. Things have changed a lot. So I have seen wherein accounts were prepared manually in India, returns were filed manually, but now India is one of the economies which has been drastically digitalized. You talk about any process, incorporating a company, the process is totally digital. You don't have to visit the registrar's office. It's totally digital. You upload your documents, they get verified, you pay the fee, your entity is incorporated. You need your digital signatures, you need your PAN card, you need your GST number, everything is digitalized. And in the recent times, even the tax returns and the tax assessments, the process has been paperless, faceless. You don't have to visit the office. It's all, you need to just upload the document, you get the correspondence from the tax authorities, you revert to them, and the assessment gets over. So this India has transitioned, as Arun was saying, that 70% of the population is under 35, and this population is tech savvy, and they give importance to digitalization. India is amongst the top countries using the UPI payments. No economy uses that. So this transition to digitalization is vast, and it is seen in every sector, every authority, be it incorporating an entity or compliances. Once you are incorporated into India, once you start your operations, everything is digitalized. So of course there are elements of bribery, corruption, I'll not deny that, but then the situation has really changed now, and the ease of doing business is really good in India. Some of these states even provide you incentives for setting up these entities. If you have large capitals to invest, they provide you incentives.
Correct.
Has that infrastructure, that has that talent.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's so much easier now to do things in India. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot harder, but the technology's evolved, the processes have evolved, the talent's younger, and we're seeing an economy that's growing at 7+ % per year. Okay, and that's why countries like the UK are having a trade agreement with India. They want to get into India. They want to do things with India, and in order to do that, though, you need to set up operations. And a great starting point, if you're not, you might set up your global capability center in India, and that's your first step into the Indian market to have certain processes managed in India. But once you understand that, you can then start thinking, well, maybe actually I want to offer services to the Indian market as well, or products to the Indian market. once you've set up there. So there's vast opportunities for those who have the foresight, but also you've got to have some balls. Okay, you've got to have the guts to do it. But I think the key message here is India's changed drastically in the last 20 years. Okay, and for those who still think it's quite the back end of beyond, I think you'll get a real wake up call if you did go and visit. And by all means, come and visit us in India. Meet other team members out there. They'd be happy to show you around and show you the amazing places that are there in India.
Well, someone just mentioned in the chat earlier, India was a tech talent pool alone. Now India is turning out to be a finance talent hub too.
Correct.
Things are evolving a lot. Well,
agreed. Sorry, just to add to that, I actually think, and the Indian talent pool of finance is vast. Okay, and they have 400,000 chartered accountants in India, 800,000 in training as students. Okay, plus all the people who are doing ACCA or part qualified accountants. The pool is vast, and India is perfectly placed to be that kind of financial kind of center or hub for global businesses. It just takes people with a bit of balls and guts to do it. But if you do it, the rewards will be vast.
So you also mentioned the FTA agreement that was recently signed in July. And I don't think a lot of businesses are actually aware of how this FTA agreement can help them or like what they can benefit out of it. Has it become, let's say, a little bit more easy, a little bit less stressful for businesses to do some things, and what are certain factors?
I think it's early days yet on the FTA, to be honest.
Okay.
No one really knows, but there's certain sectors that may benefit, such as jewelry or kind of clothing or various things that could benefit. I think we won't know until we start seeing maybe 2 or 3 few years down the line. But I think what you can see though, and this is very apparent to someone living here in the UK. You see now you get 3 flights a day on British Airways that will go to Delhi from the UK. Okay, London to Delhi. Okay, you've got Indigo, another large operator out of India, now flying to Manchester and London. Okay. The volume of traffic between the UK and India is growing, okay? And it's not just people going back to see family. Yes, that's all there. But the volume of business that's increasing is vast. So if you're not doing this in India, you're missing out. Every time I've been to India 4 times this year, you go on the plane, it's packed. Whether you're in economy, whether you're in business class, it's packed. Of all shapes and sizes, of all colors, of all races, okay? And remember, London as a hub. People that are flying in from Canada, people are flying from the US. For that, because US is a long way from India. It's like 20 odd hour flight. So it's a real hub, India is now. And by virtue of BA, big operator, Virgin, bigger operator, there's big flights going to all these places. In addition, the international hubs of airports in India are vast. You've got the big operators, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad. Those are probably the 5 biggest airports. You get all flights direct from London now. Okay, all direct, not via Qatar or not via Dubai or anything, all direct. What that's telling you is that it's not just certain parts of India that are benefiting, it's all of India that can benefit, and vice versa, all of the UK can benefit if people tap in to the right places for the right things. So I think this is a kind of a shift in the global economy is shifting that way, okay, towards India. Does it have problems? Of course it does. Are there issues? Of course there will be. Is it easy to do? Of course it's not. Okay, but if you've got the stomach and the kind of attitude to build that global team, and want to do it in a way that supports and helps you grow your business, it's to make it scalable. And that's the thing that so many businesses struggle to build a scalable business because you can't find manpower. But if you want that team over there who can help you build a scalable business, whether it's in the finance sector or technology, that's India will do that for you, and the Indian people will certainly do that for you.
I mean, you just mentioned it already. If you've got the balls to do it, you can do it, right? So that's basically
absolutely. It's doable, but it's important to seek the right people and the right advice, and you can get it wrong, and you can get it wrong, and you spend money and time and headaches, and it's like, oh my God, why have I done this in India? What am I doing? But if you do it right, it will change everything. It will change everything for the better.
Deepak, anything further to add on?
Just continuation to what Arun said earlier. So the rising cost is an issue in the UK. Recently we saw the employers NIC being increased from 13.8% to 15%. So that rising cost and the competition, and then the pressure of the accountancy shortage skilled labor, that is of course an issue. And I think almost all of the work which an accountant in the UK sitting in the UK is doing can easily be offshored to India, uh, even with a cost benefit of 30 to 50% of the cost. So I think we really need to, the West really needs to think over their hiring strategies, their long-term plans. They need to have a long-term vision. GCCs are not a short-term solution, but it's a solution with long-term planning and long-term vision.
Yeah, agreed. And I think one thing you said is that we know next month we've got another budget here in the UK. All right. I can tell you it won't be favourable. It's very evident. It's not going to be favourable for UK taxpayers, okay? And it's probably not for businesses as well. So you have to think differently. You have to be willing to take that risk. You have to be thinking, well, think strategically. What's the strategic direction I want to do? How am I going to build my business? It's all well and good, yeah, you want to employ people here. But if you're trying to charge a few £100s for a tax return and it's costing you thousands just to employ someone, you'll be out of business within weeks. Okay, so you have to think strategically. How am I going to build my business globally to be able to operate here in the UK market? Certainly, I see that as an accounting firm owner.
Well, I would say most people are actually unaware that such a solution actually exists, because I think when they look at such a GCC, they'll first think, okay, I can only see the big firms doing it. That's probably the first thing they'll come up with, because they only see the big firms coming up with huge ass offices. But what I've also noticed is you don't necessarily need to be a big firm to do this, and you don't necessarily need to set up a GCC the first time just to hire 50 people to cover every department. It can start with 3. It can start with 2.
Absolutely.
That's how you start with it. It starts with small numbers, guys. So
Right.
if anybody's actually unaware of how to do this or how to get along, feel free to contact Aaron himself. Feel free to contact Deepak to get a better idea of what we can do. Deepak also mentioned the 90-day roadmap, which he explained. He can go into that a bit more further over a call, and he can tell you exactly the ins and outs of what he can do, of what is possible for you when you go to India, and how you can set it up in India.
Yeah.
And another thing is, we're not going anywhere, guys. We're right here. I mean, and Aaron also mentioned that, you could go out of business in weeks. If you don't want to go out of business in weeks, well, or let's say if you don't want to go out in business before 2026, give us a call, and we can help you get there.
Yeah,
India's-
absolutely. Yeah, and I think if I just add to this project, I think the opportunity is there right now. You need to get in and start setting up your operations, finding the great talent, establishing a base somewhere, okay, in India if you're going to be doing this. This isn't a short-term thing, as Deepa quite clearly highlighted. This is a long-term strategic decision you have to make for your business. I personally don't see, certainly in the area that I work in, the accounting, finance world, that I still need people in the UK. Of course I do. But when I see the people in the UK, but I can see the amount of talent I've got in India, why would I kind of not hire in India? They're just as capable, just as good, and a bigger pool of people to tap into. And that's the whole point. I can scale up, I can build it. And I think the way I built my firm is having teams in both countries. And I think that's what most organizations need to start thinking about, or not thinking about, doing that now. And for those who take that step, they'll get the benefits hugely. But I think it's important to really differentiate between, I use an outsourcing company or a vendor out there. Having a GCC is hugely different, okay? It means investing, it means building a culture, it means building a team, it means building a global business. Using an outsourcing company is just very transactional. And that's why you don't get a good result, because it's transactional. People don't care. They don't actually care about the work. They're just doing the work, getting paid their $10 an hour and handing it back to you. What are you going to get for that? You're never going to get a good relationship. You're never going to get quality. You get quality by taking that risk and establishing a center and then building from that.
What a good note to end on. Well, with that being said, guys, this was series 2 of the webinar. And thank you so much for attending. Thank you all for mentioning in the chat for what we're doing as well. So we'll see you in November on November 27th. Just keep the dates pinned. November 27th will be series 3, where we'll be speaking a bit more about GCCs and how it will affect other industries. So stay tuned. and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. And one last point, just make sure you go to our website. There's loads of information on there. Download reports, guides, everything you need to know. Totally free. And once you've had a read of it, reach out. Okay, thank you.
Take care, guys.
And that's a wrap for another episode of the Going Global Business Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it today, and please do share us on social media and make sure you do subscribe. Thank you very much.